Hey everybody, and welcome to NFL Nexus. Today we are breaking down one of the most incredible, most improbable championship runs you will ever see, the Seattle Seahawks' shocking victory in Super Bowl LX. You know, in an age where it's all about high-flying offenses and quarterbacks putting up video game numbers, the Seahawks just won it all with a formula that feels like a total throwback. They were tough, they were physical, and they were just relentlessly disciplined. This wasn't just another win. It was a statement that maybe, just maybe, the old ways of winning football games are still the best ways. So how did they do it? How did a team led by a journeyman quarterback, a guy the league had pretty much given up on, conquer the entire NFL? We're about to dive deep and dissect exactly how they pulled it off, piece by piece. So if you love deep dives into the stories that really define the league, do me a favor and hit that subscribe button and give this a like, because you are not going to want to miss this. Oh, and one more thing. A great way to support the channel is by checking out our coloring books. They're perfect for kids, grandkids, even for adults. You can find them using the link in the description or the QR code right there on the screen.
All right, so here's how we're going to break this whole thing down. To really get how this team won, we have to look at every single piece of the puzzle. We're actually going to start at the end with the bizarrely quiet celebration that left everyone speechless. Then, we'll rewind and get into the incredible redemption story of their quarterback, Sam Darnold. From there, we'll talk about the pure dominance of their defense, a unit so scary it earned the nickname the Dark Side. Of course, we have to highlight the MVP performance of their workhorse, Kenneth Walker III, the guy who sealed the deal. And finally, we'll put it all together to show you how this team created a whole new blueprint for winning, built on pure, unfiltered grit. Okay, let's jump right in, and we're going to start where most stories end. The celebration. I want you to picture it. The confetti's flying, players are screaming, coaches are getting the Gatorade bath. It's pure chaos, pure joy, right? Well, immediately after winning the biggest game of their lives, the Seattle Seahawks did something really strange. They were quiet. There was no wild party on the field. It was the most unusual, most subdued reaction to winning a Super Bowl anyone had ever seen, and it left the entire football world just scratching their heads.
I mean, this quote from ESPN's Ryan Clark just says it all. This is a guy who played in the league for 13 years. He won a Super Bowl himself. He knows what that explosive, raw emotion is supposed to feel like. So he's on set, interviewing the stars of the game, and he's expecting that energy, that hype, and instead, he gets this composure that just doesn't make any sense. You can practically hear the confusion in his voice. He's trying to figure out how a team could reach the absolute top of the mountain and react with such control. It was just shocking.
And the mystery just got deeper when the game's MVP, Kenneth Walker III, gave his answer. When Ryan Clark pushed him, asking if he at least partied hard, Walker gave this simple, almost unbelievable response. He just chilled. He vibed out. The report says Clark was literally speechless for a second, and you can see why. In a world that's all about celebrating big, this quiet, humble answer was just so different. It wasn't what anyone expected, and it really sets up the big question about this team. Why were they like this? And this slide, man, it just paints the perfect picture of that difference. It's not like the whole team was quiet. Oh no, there was a real championship after party. The locker room had the champagne and cigars, and then there was a huge party with performances by T-Pain and Ludacris, the whole shebang. But while all that was going on, the team's two biggest stars on offense, the quarterback and the MVP, they chose something totally different. The next day, they weren't recovering from a party. They were at Disneyland, smiling on the teacups. It was just this wholesome family vibe that was so unique to the leaders of this team.
So here's the key takeaway. That quiet celebration, it wasn't a mistake. It wasn't a lack of passion. It was a perfect reflection of this team's identity. It was the final display of the incredible discipline and maturity that got them there in the first place. Which brings us to the big question we're going to spend the rest of this explainer answering. What kind of team does this? Well, to understand the calm at the end, you have to understand the chaotic journey of the man who led them there.
And that journey starts with the emotional center of this team, quarterback Sam Darnold. You cannot understand this team without understanding his story. I mean, this is a guy that, for the most part, the league had completely given up on. He was called a bust, a journeyman, a guy famous for seeing ghosts. His story is one of the most amazing comeback stories the NFL has ever seen, and it is the absolute key to unlocking how the Seahawks did what they did.
Just look at this path, would you? It's a roadmap of disappointment. It starts with the Jets, where he becomes a national punchline for that seeing ghosts comment. Then he's traded to the Panthers, which fizzles out. Then he becomes a backup, first for the 49ers, then the Vikings, kind of fading into the background. By the time he signs with Seattle, his fifth team, nobody sees him as the answer. He's a placeholder. No one, and I mean no one, saw this coming, which makes that last stop on the timeline so incredible. He became the first quarterback in NFL history to win a Super Bowl after playing for 5 different teams. Just wow.
And this is where the story goes from unbelievable to almost impossible. A total Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde situation. Because during the regular season, the old Sam Darnold was still there. He was a turnover machine, leading the entire league with 20 giveaways. The critics were just waiting for that inevitable playoff collapse. But then, something historic happened. He flipped a switch. The Seahawks became the first Super Bowl champion in NFL history to go the entire postseason without a single turnover. Not one. The chaotic quarterback was gone, replaced by a picture of perfect control.
Let's just sit with this number for a second. 20. 20 times during the regular season, Sam Darnold handed the ball to the other team. Turnovers are killers in the NFL. They destroy drives, give away points, and crush morale. This number was the reason everyone doubted them. It was the reason people thought they were just waiting to fall apart when the pressure was highest. This was the ghost he had to finally beat.
And then there's this number. 0. From 20 to 0, this is one of the most mind-blowing statistical turnarounds you will ever see. 4 playoff games, win or go home, when every single play matters, and this was his turnover count. Perfect. Flawless. That isn't luck. That is an insane level of focus, incredible coaching, and a game plan that was just executed to perfection.
His Super Bowl wasn't about a crazy stat line. He threw for about 200 yards and 1 touchdown. His job wasn't to be the hero. It was to be the ultimate manager. Be smart, be efficient, and most importantly, protect the football. He let his superstars do their thing. And what's even crazier is he did it all while playing through a painful oblique injury. His backup even called him a killer for playing through it. His performance wasn't about flash. It was about pure toughness and intelligence, the very things that define this entire Seahawks team.
And this quote from his teammate Leonard Williams, who's known him since college at USC, it just sums it all up. Darnold's career was a lesson in mental toughness. He was traded, benched, turned into a joke. The noise from the outside must have been deafening. But as Williams says, he never let it get to him. He just kept his head down, kept working, and waited for the right chance. And when he finally got it in Seattle, boy, was he ready.
But let's be crystal clear about something. Sam Darnold's amazing comeback story only happens because he was backed up by one of the most dominant, suffocating, and frankly terrifying defenses in the entire league. He didn't have to win games by himself because this unit often won the games for him. It's time to talk about the real engine of this championship. It's time to talk about the dark side.
Under their brilliant head coach Mike Macdonald, the Seahawks defense earned this nickname and they deserved it. Macdonald's philosophy is simple, but it's brutal. Be more physical, create confusion, and hunt the quarterback. This unit wasn't just good. They were an oppressive force. They were all about imposing their will on the other team, hitting hard and just creating chaos on every single snap. They set the tone for the entire team.
And their Super Bowl performance, it was a masterpiece of destruction against the Patriots. I mean, the stats on this chart tell the whole story. They sacked the Pats' rookie QB Drake May 6 times. They held the really good offense to just 13 points. And maybe the craziest stat of all, they held them scoreless for 3 full quarters of the Super Bowl. That is not just playing defense. That is total suffocation. They completely took away any hope the Patriots had.
If you want one single quote to perfectly capture the raw, physical attitude of this defense, this is it. This came from rookie defensive tackle Riley Mills after the game. A reporter asked him how he got his first career sack on the biggest stage, and this was his answer. It wasn't about technique. He said, "Yeah, I just ran through his face and then got to the quarterback." It's so direct, so blunt. It kind of reminds you of another Seahawks legend, Marshawn Lynch. It wasn't complicated, it was about power, and nobody embodied that grit more than Mills himself.
Mills' journey is basically what this entire team was all about. It feels like something out of a movie. 15 months before the Super Bowl, he suffers a devastating knee injury in college. The Seahawks take a chance on him late in the draft, knowing he'll miss most of his rookie year. He finally gets on the field in Week 15, plays a grand total of 28 snaps all season. Then, in the Super Bowl, he gets 5 snaps, and on one of them, he gets his first ever NFL sack. It's the ultimate next man up story of just refusing to quit.
Okay, so you have a quarterback who never gives the ball away and a defense that destroys everything. What's the last piece of the puzzle? You need a hammer. You need a weapon on offense that can control the clock, punish the other defense, and close out the game. For the Seahawks, that hammer was Super Bowl MVP Kenneth Walker III.
This number right here represents his impact on the game. 135 rushing yards. He was the workhorse. But it wasn't just the total yardage. It was how he got it. It was just a relentless grind of 4, 5, 6 yards at a time that just slowly wore the Patriots' defense down. Every time the Seahawks needed to move the chains or burn some clock, they just handed the ball to number 9. He was the offensive force that made their whole championship formula work.
He wasn't just a player. He was the heartbeat of that offense. If Sam Darnold was the steady hand steering the ship, Kenneth Walker was the battering ram smashing through the walls. His entire playoff run was legendary, but his Super Bowl performance proved he's one of the best backs in the league. He was the perfect example of the team's philosophy. Pair a punishing, old-school run game with a stifling, modern defense. It's a simple formula, but when you have a guy like Walker, it's a championship formula.
All right, so let's bring it all home. The quiet celebration, the quarterback's redemption, the killer defense, and the MVP running back. This championship wasn't a fluke. It wasn't a bunch of lucky breaks. It was the result of a perfectly built team executing a very specific, and in today's NFL, a beautifully old-school formula for winning. It was a victory made of discipline and defined by grit.
And this right here, this is the blueprint they created. You take a quarterback who knows his job is to protect the football. You build a defense that just demoralizes the other team. You lean on a powerful running game that wears them down. And most importantly, you build a culture of discipline and maturity that values grit over flash. And when you look at it all laid out like this, that quiet, calm celebration we started with, it suddenly makes perfect sense. It wasn't a lack of passion, it was their character. It was the final, perfect example of the very identity that won them the championship.
So we'll end with this question for you to chew on. In a league that is obsessed with huge offensive numbers and fantasy football stats, did the Seattle Seahawks just prove everyone wrong? Did they prove that an old-school formula built on elite defense, a punishing run game, and mistake-free football is still the best way to win a Lombardi trophy? Let me know what you think down in the comments. Thanks so much for watching NFL Nexus. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe for more deep dives into the game we all love. We'll see you next time.